We're back on the Nation at 5, ladies and gentlemen, with the spotlight turned back towards Jammu and Kashmir, where there were NIA raids. Now, the NIA raiding the residence of the president of the Jammu and Kashmir High Court Bar Association, Mia Abdul Qayyum, and two other lawyers. Qayyum was booked under the Public Safety Act or PSA in 2019 and is now under the scanner of the NIA in the terror funding case. Now, he is the same man who Babar Qadri, a Kashmiri activist and advocate himself, had accused of being involved with separatists and terror elements in an online post. And in fact, days after that post, and where he alleged a threat to his life, Babar Qadri was indeed shot dead. And the person who shot him dead was a Lashkar commander by the name of Saqib Mansoor, who was killed in an encounter sometime last year. And he was the one who was said to be responsible for Babar Qadri's killing. Listen to what Babar Qadri said, and then we'll go across to Tejinder Sodi.
जब मैं बात करता हूं, अब मैं गद्दार हुआ, अब मुझे हिंदुस्तानी एजेंट बोलते हैं, फिर बोलेंगे एजेंसीज की बुनियाद पे बात करते हैं। इनके निसार अहमद के कमेंट देख लीजिए और मंजूर डार से साहब के कमेंट आप देखें मेरी पोस्ट पे, सीधे लगता है कि ये मुझे मरवाएंगे। इनका इंटेंशन है मुझे लिक्विडेशन करवाना है, क्योंकि इनके पास कोई आर्गुमेंट नहीं है मेरी सवालात का। मंजूर डार साहब, बाबर कादरी आपकी धमकियों से डरने वाला नहीं है। मैं खुल्लम खुला चैलेंज आपसे करता हूं, आप चाहें मुझे मरवा सकते हैं, जैसे पास्ट में कोई साहब ने भी मिलिटेंट्स भेजे थे, आप भी भेज लीजिए, कोई मसला नहीं। जब भी कोई मरहूम शेख मोहम्मद अब्दुल्ला साहब के खिलाफ कोई बात करता था तो फिर कहा जाता था कि ये इंडियन इंटेलिजेंस का बंदा है, आईबी का बंदा है। जब भी किसी जिहिस इंसान ने 1990 से कोई बात की, इंटेलेक्चुअल ने कोई बात की, उसे मौत के घाट उतार दिया गया।
Strong claims, allegations being made, but look at the developments. Javed Beg is with us, political activist, along with General Katoch and Sushant Sareen. Javed Beg, Babar Qadri, what he claimed and what he said, this nexus, now it's reached the doorstep, and perhaps it's being proven today with the NIA raids at Abdul Qayyum. Javed Beg, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much for giving me a chance to speak on this very important issue. Babar Qadri, a renowned and prominent socio-political activist, have known him, personally for more than 5-6 years. Yes, whatever he said, not only in his last statement, but throughout those 3-4 years, is absolutely right. There was a nexus which was actually working under the garb of the ecosystem, which was created by mainstream political parties before abrogation and Hurriyat. That nexus was involved in his killing because he was very vocal against this nexus. And that nexus was being run from a very holy institution, which is Bar Council. I have known Babar Qadri personally, and he had apprehensions of being killed by those who he was vocal against. He was speaking truth. Whatever he spoke against this nexus is not incorrect, which is correct. But we have failed in delivering justice in his case. He was killed in cold blood. The ecosystem of terror is still there. We have been successful in eliminating many terrorists. But the brains behind these terrorists is still in our Kashmir, is rather being protected by that nexus which was prevalent before abrogation. We have not been able to stop that nexus. We have not been able to unmask the killers of Babar Qadri and many prominent socio-political activists. He always wanted to clear the mess in Bar Council, but later he became a victim of that nexus, which we are still unable to control or break. I, as a political activist, have been speaking against this nexus.
Yes, you have also been raising your voice, but how deep are they embedded is a larger question. The larger concern, General Katoch, is how deep are they embedded? That if the president of the Bar Association is under the scanner for not just terror funding but openly backing terrorists and separatists.
Anand, I think the rot goes in very, very deep. It has seeped into the very roots of the judicial system and into the administration system. And it is not something which has happened over the last 2, 3 years. This is something which has happened over the last 30 to 40 years. It is a very long term happening, and it has impacted practically every element of society. Now, what has really happened in the Babar Qadri case, when we are looking at the judiciary, the terrorists have the ability to threaten both the lawyers and the judges. And as it is impossible to give physical protection to everybody, there is that element of fear amongst the legal fraternity. Now, some of them are like Babar Qadri, were prepared to speak out, but most of them remain quiet, and some of them
Yes.
are actually part of the nexus. Now, this nexus, Anand, I would like to make it very clear, are given support by political organizations. The Hurriyat used to do it openly, but the PDP and the Muftis, that is the Muftis party and the National Conference, they would do it surreptitiously. They were the soft separatists. They still remain the soft separatists, and it is because of that soft political support which they're getting, we have not managed to eliminate the problem fully. But I think this
Right.
cannot survive for very long. These people will be eliminated because now the weightage has changed. The weight which the terrorists
Right.
had, that
Right.
is gone now post 5th August 2019, and I think the situation is changing. So we are going to see this nexus breaking sooner rather than later. Anand.
Ji, I have another development coming through, and Sushantji, I will request your attention on this. This is something which you've also been tracking. It's the apprehension of a terrorist, an ISIS terrorist, who was nabbed by the Russian authorities, and India was alerted. It was a multi-country intelligence coordination that's enabled this kind of a crackdown of an ISIS agent or a Fidain suicide bomber who was being sent from Russia into India. He's an Uzbek national, Azamov. India has asked the Russian government to share the further interrogation details. Intelligences have sent their questionnaire to the Russian government. The agency is seeking access to question the bomber, but so far they've not got that access. They want to they want to actually identify the bomber's handler in India. And they also want to identify the specific targets that these bombers were sent. We are given to understand it's not one, but there are two suicide bombers, one a Kyrgyzstan national also, so both from Central Asia. One of them has been apprehended. The details of the other need to be ascertained. The agencies are also seeking details to track the handler nexus and funding routes, and more importantly, access to bomber via Uzbekistan government, as he is an Uzbek national. Hunt is on for the second bomber, who also planned to enter India. Like I said, he is also seen to be of a Central Asian origin, maybe Kyrgyzstan or again an Uzbek national. Sushant Sareen, this should be sending the alarm bells ringing at multiple levels. Ground support, active logistics, ISIS presence on Indian soil, and ISIS now deciding to send foreign nationals into India for Fidain attacks.
Yeah, I would imagine that more than alarm bells ringing, it would at least end the denial in India that, we are going to be left untouched by the fires of this kind of jihadism, which are sweeping through the rest of the world. We are going to be as much singed by it as anybody else. But, Anand, I am just a little surprised that the Russians would have prematurely released the details about this particular fellow whom they have apprehended. I would imagine they would have already squeezed him dry. They would have, or they at least ideally they should have exchanged the information with India on the back channel, so that whatever follow-up action had to be taken by India to uncover the cell which was going to provide this fellow with the logistic support and the explosives and everything else in India.
Right.
We could go after that. So I wonder if what is coming out in the media right now is like,
Ji.
one of those delayed broadcasts which you
Broadcast.
guys often
Deferred
do.
telecast.
You have a 10-15 minute delay and then you broadcast something, so the event has already passed, so that nobody gets the information. I wonder if that is happening, because otherwise I find it very strange that the Russians have released all that information, but they, the Indians were completely clueless, and now we are running
Right.
around trying to find out this cell which would have completely disappeared by now.
Correct.
If they had been forewarned. So I find that a little strange, but I think that we're going to hear something more about this story in the coming days, and perhaps that is when we can make more sense of what exactly happened.
And somewhere we should connect it back to that entire weekend wherein across about 35 locations raids were conducted, and in 48 hours 48 people were nabbed. So there could be a link there, that information was shared, and there was an attempt to try and break the back of any ISIS network or organized group here which would want to perhaps provide OGW or overground support here on ground to these terrorists who are coming into India or planning to come into India. General Katoj and Sushant Sareen, thank you very, very much for joining us this evening. We're going to take a short break here on The Nation at 5. Stay with us.